If you could give us like a kindergarten level explanation, what is HabiTerre's technology? How does it help farmers?
to to estimate the environmental outcomes related to agriculture, like we already kind of established there's a market opportunity and there's value for being able to quantify, measure, describe those outcomes, and you can create valuable transactions around the ability to do that. The more accurate you are, the more valuable those transactions can be, because if you can reduce that uncertainty as to how real was this outcome, then it's easier to justify, more spend for that particular outcome relative to other options that are out there. So there's a really important component of like quantifying it well. But the other piece of scaling here is it's a data scarce environment. Like farmers, don't necessarily want to sit down at a computer and put in 100 data points into this really esoteric, ecosystem model. So that's the key solve for us, is incredibly deep science and technology made as lean, scalable, and efficient as possible without sacrificing the scientific rigor, I think is the key takeaway. So the whole idea here, to put that in simple terms, is today when a farmer is asked to sign up for a carbon program in a traditional sense, you can quantify the outcomes in a lot of different ways. You can spend a bunch of money on soil sampling, and you can spend a bunch of money on going out and putting somebody across the table from a farmer and sitting down and collecting all this data for years and tons of lines of data. And then kind of technically anybody can really do that without super deep technology. But you can see, like, if we're saying that there aren't enough dollars to go around to even influence the change, then there certainly aren't enough dollars to go around to spend all the money that costs to measure and gather data that way. So this is where we play that role, is we need high confidence numbers to be able to create meaningful markets around them. And we need to be able to do that doesn't involve requesting unreasonable amounts of data from farmers or spending a bunch of money, traipsing around and trying to measure this stuff that is vanishingly hard to measure accurately. So what we do is quantify it in a way that requires as little data as possible, but is deeply backed by decades of research and ground truth validation. So that's kind of the core of it. And how it benefits farmers, this is always a tricky one too, right? Like it's also like we're dealing in an intangible good, and it's hard to even make like what we do tangible, let alone to a farmer. So really what it boils down to is, if we're doing our job right, like farmers see these programs everywhere, they're interested in them, there's a proliferation of them, they don't make much sense, they don't invest enough, they're requiring too much data, all that. But based on what I described, you can see that, like, if we're doing our job right, we're not another screen in front of a farmer, and we don't want to be. They don't need that. They've got enough screens. Like one of our key investors, John Deere, right? Like, it's one of the best screens out there as far as farm management software. They're on 400 million plus acres with engaged farmers. We don't need to be another screen in front of them, and that's not what the farmers need. So we are that back end technology that says, okay, if we can streamline this engagement, create greater confidence in the buyers that are paying for farmer enrollment, paying for these activities, by doing that, then the farmer experience is better. More of the share of the dollar spent goes to the farmer rather than measurement and quantification. So more of the incentive goes there, you get more engagement. So it becomes this flywheel that now we can do some sense making of the market. And our goal is to be that market standard sort of back end infrastructure that says, yeah, compete on program design, compete on how you talk to farmers, sign them up, compete on what you pay them. But let's not keep making such a mess of competing on, are you collecting 90 data points or 100? Let's actually make a market that can work for all of them. And that's where we can be kind of agnostic in it. So I know it's a really long answer, but it's like, yeah, if I'm talking to my brother on the farm, hey, Nick, how do you benefit me? I'm like, I don't know. You want to sign up for one of these sustainability programs? No? Cool. Then I probably don't. But if you want supplemental income that isn't a lot of work for you and it aligns with what you want to do managing the farm anyway, we benefit you. You're just probably not going to see the HabiTerre logo on your screen, but we're behind it.